hello. Welcome to the beginning of the show struggle. Of me trying to pin a comment. This is some funky good jazz. Get into it. For all my replay viewers, you can go ahead and fast forward because we start a little bit early for the live viewers to join. Usually about 5 minutes ahead of time. Got about 2 more minutes left. I don't understand why I'm struggling so much with this. I was loopy yesterday. This music has me in a good mood today. Not that I wasn't in a good mood, but in like a fun mood today. The struggle of the fro. She'll be starting just a moment here. In a minute. Late night talk show. Go ahead, put your name. Tell me hi, say hello when you're coming in. That includes the replay viewers. Tell me hi. Be nice. Once again, my pinning of the comment has failed. Once again. I don't know what it is. Why this struggle is so real. All right. Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to the late night talk show called Good Sex with me, Coach Yema. I am here to close the gap, help you close the gap between your spirituality and your sexuality, to show you that they are not mutually exclusive. They're actually mutually inclusive because they are two sides of the very same coin. I am also the author of the same titled book, Good Sex for My Beautiful Single Queens. It is a single woman's guide to supernatural sexual wholeness. So if you're struggling with your sexuality, struggling with your sexual past, not knowing how to reconcile the two, you're not a virgin, but you love God, you don't know what to do now because you're not married, how do you handle all of the desires, how do you heal from your past sexual unhealthy decisions and get into a place of wholeness and freedom, pick her up, read it, and get to a place of freedom, okay? Also, rules of engagement for the show. If you would like to join me live, which I'm inviting you to join me live, and you have a comment about what we're talking about, I realize I need to qualify that. If you have a comment, a response to what we're talking about, hit the green button down at the bottom right here of your screen, and I will bring you on and we can have a conversation. Also, please like, please comment, please share this video. Let's get other queens in the conversation. And what's the other thing? If you like what I'm saying or is resonating with you or you have questions, put an emoji, hit the hearts, whatever, so I know that you're engaging with me. Also, what's the other thing? Is that it? Is that what we have to talk about? This music's got me, has me jamming, okay? All right, so let's get into the topic. We'll do a quick recap from earlier this week. So today's Wednesday, for those of us who may not know what day it is. On Monday, we had a really good discussion about virginity and how that relates to divorce and premarital sex and the statistics about that. And then yesterday we got into the conversation about why good Christian girls have non-marital / if you want to call it premarital sex. I really enjoyed that conversation. It was really fun for me because I got to speak, and I always speak from this place of transparency and authenticity, but I got a chance to share with you guys from a real fun, raw place. And it's going to be similar tonight. So I want you engaging with me. Talk back to me. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're enjoying the content. Let me know that this is good to you. This sweet, delectable late night hour of the Good Sex Talk Show with me. That you're enjoying yourself and we're having a good time, okay? So how is everybody doing? It was really hot today. And I, again, do not have central air. Most homes, I guess, in Colorado Springs do not have central air. And I bought this house knowing that, but my plan was to put central air in. I have not yet done so, and so I am hot. And so I have limited my foundation makeup today because of that fact. I just have powder on and filled in the brows and did some eye stuff and blush and you know what I mean. Just snatched me up, got me together, okay, for this beautiful hour. All right, so yesterday when we talked about the reasons people have sex, there's one reason. One of the viewers yesterday, name was Audrey, who actually got hit on very inappropriately by one of the viewers. So if I see that happening, I will regulate it, because the gentleman came in and was asking her if she was horny and all this other stuff. And a quick side note, when I talk about sexuality as a woman, hey VIP, as a woman, and other people as just like young Christian women talk about sexuality and sex and things like that, there are people, right, who want to be vulgar and want to be rude and disrespectful. They're going to come on and make comments. I experienced this when I used to go live on Periscope, okay? So if you are like missing me, okay, and you're like, oh, I watched all her shows, I need to watch more, go and listen. I have about 120 something videos on Periscope that I did a while ago, maybe like, I think it's been about a year now, that I did on Periscope talking about very similar topics, sexuality and purpose and all of that. So there are videos on there. But when I used to do videos on there, in my title, I would put sexuality, right? And so I would have different people coming on. Mostly, there were probably, I don't know if they were like fake accounts or whatever, but you know, if you're not aware, so you go live on Periscope and people can see you from all over the world. They just have to go on the page and they can scan over and they can see that you're live and they can join your live. And so I had comments, most of them from the Middle East, okay, making really lewd comments about the topic and being disrespectful. So I see now, because I just started really going live on Facebook. I used to post videos and clips from my videos on Periscope, but now that I've started going live on Facebook, I see that a similar trend is happening. And there are young women just like myself who speak about sexuality, young Christian women. And I saw this article maybe 2 weeks ago where they talked about how they used to delete these vulgar comments, but they put out an article and say, just to let you all know, like, these are the comments that we get. And it was a bunch of, they had a really good response to it because there were other women talking about sexuality that were getting trolled or getting disrespected, or people coming in and saying things like, you know, like the other day, I think it was last week, which is why I started wearing my glasses now. So last week, someone was like, stand up, let me see your dress. And I couldn't see the name. And so I thought it was my friend Sylvia, but it was somebody else. They were just being inappropriate. Okay. So sometimes be like, take your top off, or I want to kiss you, I want to have sex with you, and use the other F word, and like just say things like that. So if that's happening, as my viewers, I want you guys to know, some of the comments, honestly, I don't even see until the end of the show when I'm scrolling through. I don't know why that happens, actually. until I'm scrolling through, but I want you to stay engaged. Don't mind the comments. Don't get distracted. I'm not getting distracted by them. If I see someone being inappropriate to one of my regular repeat viewers, I will step in and make a comment, or I can go in. I believe I can probably, I haven't tried it here, but go in and either block that person or delete the comment or something like that, okay? So just a quick housekeeping to let you all know, like, the work that I do, I understand that there is friction from other people who, number one, don't agree that as a single woman I should be speaking about sex. Other people who don't agree, but then they don't just not agree, they want to come on and be disrespectful and all of those different things. So I don't pay any mind to it. I feel like God put me through the process when I was doing Periscope to get my mind like through it, because when I first started, I would be very distracted and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're saying this. And to be fully transparent and honest, for a while I backed off of it because I wasn't ready. Like, they were asking me questions and saying all these different things, and I was at the point in my journey where I didn't know exactly how to respond or if I needed to respond. But in this part of my journey, okay, because that was about a year or two ago, now, okay, I know that the response to those kinds of comments is no response, okay? So if you're a troll watching or someone who's not in agreement with our topic, either leave the live or stay on and get educated. If you have a real question, ask me. I'm open to answer real questions. But if you're being disrespectful, I'm not going to answer it. Oh, okay. So let's get into the topic for tonight. So the topic for tonight is a quote from this book here, Good Christian Sex by Bromley McClenaghan, okay? And it is, what makes desire good, life-giving, and holy? Because yesterday we talked about the motivations of why single Christian women have non-marital sex, right? And we got into the topic of what is intimacy, what you're really desiring. And I'm reading this book because she's really speaking from a place that I haven't heard before, a Christian perspective, where she does not believe that premarital or non-marital sex is necessarily a sinful thing. And she's a Christian woman. It's a Christian book. She's saying that she herself is a Christian, grew up in a Christian home, but virginity was not this thing that had a stigma if you lost it or whatever. She didn't have that conversation with her parents. They never really instilled that fear or that concern for her. And so that's the perspective that she's coming from. And I find it very interesting. You guys tell me what you think about this, because number one, and I've heard this before, but reading this chapter again, I think I'm on her second chapter. Yes, I'm on chapter 2. So she talks about, instead of saying that someone lost their virginity, that there is conversation that instead of us saying that, we should say that the person is having their sexual debut. Like, I'm not losing my virginity, which is interesting enough that young men don't have, like, it's more of a rite of passage in a sense for a young man, like, oh, I got it, I'm not a virgin anymore, like, it's a good hoorah kind of thing. But for women, we've talked about this before, it's just like, you've lost your purity, you've lost the thing that you should have prized the most, and now you've lost this thing that you can never get back, and now you're damaged, and all this other weird, damaging messaging that goes around that. And so she's saying, instead of us saying loss or losing of your virginity, that is your sexual debut. And now remembering what I just said, that she's not coming from a place where virginity or the you not being a virgin anymore is a necessarily bad, sinful situation. So that's what we're talking about today. I found it very interesting. Thank you for the hearts. You guys tell me what you think about that. I was like, like I've heard it before. Let's see, she says here, and here's another interesting thing that she taught. Hey, Faith girl. Here's another thing. I'm just going to be speaking some interesting things that I talked about, that I read in the chapter, and we'll get deeper into it, because you guys know once I start talking and we get into it, it gets really real. Okay, so here's a thing I thought was super, super interesting, and I've heard it in, like, I've seen it in a meme before, but it was like whatever, but it's like in a book, right? So it must be, you know what I mean? So she says here, and the criteria for women, okay? Let's see here. For us realizing that we've lost our virginity or whatever it is. Many other LGBTQI people who responded to her survey, and some straight people, defined a sexual partner. And we talked about the partner thing on Monday, right? So a quick reminder, they said that this survey that only surveyed women, because for whatever reason, we talked about that. I told you what my thoughts were on that. This survey for women surveyed that their results showed that women that had 0 to 1 partners had a least likely chance of getting divorced. Women who had 3 to 9 partners were more likely to divorce, but not more likely than people who had 2 partners. Like the people who had 2 partners were most likely to divorce, and then people who had 10 or more partners were most likely to get a divorce. So how are we defining partner? So that's what we're getting into. How do you just define someone as a sexual partner? She said, many other LGBTQIA it is an A, she doesn't put the A here, but respondents defined a sexual partner as someone present and involved in your achievement of an orgasm. So, and then she says, hands go up from the crowd of straight women protesting that this criterion would shift their partner count dramatically. I think the kids call it like the body count now. So if you're a single woman, and I'm really speaking to my single ladies today, I'm like speaking to myself and the self that I was a couple of years ago, in some cases still am. So if you're going to report your partner count, should you please tell me what you think about this? Put a like or a love or a laugh or something, right? Because this just tickled me. Because it really is, it like resonated with me it hit me in my shundo, okay? I felt it in my spirit, all right? She said that I'm not gonna count you as a sexual partner, like you're not part of my body count if you did not help me reach an orgasm. Somebody please comment. Somebody please put a like or a heart or a laugh or something. What do you guys think about that? Because when I was reading that, I was thinking like, if that's the case, I bet many women, if we were having sex for the reasons that we talked about yesterday, I bet many women are probably, if this is the criteria we're gonna use, are probably still virgins. As quiet as it's all kept, okay? Many women, okay, are probably still virgins. If I have to count, if my body count only includes the people that brought me to an orgasm, whether through mutual masturbation, vaginal orgasm, G-spot orgasm, or whatever it was, right? The only people I'm gonna count as a body count is that. Is that like a, how do I feel about that? I'm like on the fence about it because, well, I don't know. Every time a man, not every time, there's some men I know in my sexual past that I know that for whatever reason didn't reach that place of orgasm, but which you can reach orgasm without ejaculation. Men can, women can obviously too. So is that, and this is grown folk conversation, right? This is the Good Sex Late Night Talk Show for my girls, okay? If that is like, I would like for that, I would like to vote for that to be the criteria, because I can see how it's easy for men because of the reasons the majority of women engage in sexual activity outside of a long-term committed relationship is really to fulfill these emotional needs and to either reciprocate the feeling that a man is giving you, okay? And so you are there for his pleasure, and then once he reaches that place of climax, the sexual encounter is over, because generally porn is very part of our culture. So in general porn, that the end of the video is that he has reached climax, okay? He has ejaculated. That is the end of it. And if that's the mindset that we have, and we go into our sexual encounters to be the vessel of pleasure for another person, specifically talking about hetero relationships, if that is the case, then yeah, he can count me as part of his body count because he reached orgasm, but does he count for mine? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and vote that we move in that way. Like, if it's good for the man to say that that's part of his body count, but you didn't receive, like, the end of your encounter with that person wasn't that, like, we have to use the same criteria. So then no, you're not part of my body count. So women, hopefully, I'm saying this to kind of like, if you have a high body count, I don't know what a high body count would be considered, because I don't want to put any judgments on there. If you feel personally that your body count is high because you're including people who you were in that encounter with that did not understand the purpose of it or the process or the technique or whatever the case was, if you were in there fulfilling emotional needs and they were in there fulfilling other needs and they reached climax and you didn't, I want to vote that we do not consider that as part of your body count. So if you think about that, now ladies who are watching, I know you've already done it, go back in your head. This is for my single ladies, okay? This is a real conversation for all the good Christian girls who are struggling with their sexual past and sexual history. And if you're one of those, my beautiful lady, pick up this book. Please get some help. Let me walk you through the process of it. So for all the single girls that are watching this right now who have a sexual past that they're not so happy about, who were kind of bugged and bummed out from the statistic that I shared on Monday that said the higher sexual partners that you've had, the more likely you are to get married and get divorced. Like, if you're married and your body count is high, the more likely you're going to get a divorce. But how am I counting that body count? I'm going to count the body count as people who helped me, or in that encounter, I was able to reach orgasm just like men do. So this is not me being like weird or whatever. If men are counting it this way, we should be able to count it that way, right? So if that's the case, take a quick, I'm gonna give you a minute. This is to help you and to, in a sense, make you feel better. And also, from what we talked about last week, to own your pleasure. If someone was not able to bring you to that place and you're still bogged down about it, like, why? Okay? You can be bogged down about it that you went to meet an emotional need in this encounter with this person and it didn't happen. That means you have to go deeper to find out how you ended up in that place, how you ended up entertaining a situationship, okay, or a relationship with an individual that was not able to feed your desire for intimacy, which is what we're going to be talking about today deeper. I'm just bringing out these interesting things that I thought it was just really cool. Because I heard it before, but I was like, oh, somebody's probably just being funny. But now that I'm reading it in the book, I'm like, you know what? They're onto something. So I want you to take a minute right now and do a quick inventory and think about what your number was when you were counting everybody you encountered sexually, and what your number would be if you had an encounter where you were able to reach a place of climax. And use that number, because number one is you owning your pleasure, that you deserve it. Okay, yeah, it was outside of marriage. all of those different things, awesome. We can get healed through that. But as far as moving forward, okay, and you owning your pleasure, owning your sexuality, owning the fact that your pleasure was a priority by God, right? We talked about why, like the message he was trying to deliver to us when he gave us the clit. Okay, like our clitoris is God saying, I love and I want you to know that your sexuality and your pleasure is a priority to me. Okay, so make it a priority for you. So if you've engaged with partners in partner sex and did not reach the place of climax, don't count it. What do you guys think about that? Say something to me. I see you watching. I see you. Say something. I'm taking it. Because if that's the case, like, and I was really thinking this, like, if women truly were to do that, unfortunately, and the sad thing is that many women can probably still consider themselves, as far as sexual partners, as having maybe 0 to 1 partners, which is so sad because it is just generally accepted that, oh, women don't normally come to a place of orgasm anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just the fact that they were present is all that should matter, and that should not be the case, okay? So I am in agreement. I was on the fence, but now the more that I talk about it, yeah, I'm in agreement. Because I thought back on mine. I was like, yo, I'll take it. I'm going to snatch that. It's mine. I own it. Do I feel better about it? I feel more empowered by having that mindset, right? I feel definitely more empowered. So let's talk about this, how desire in itself can be life-giving, can be holy, and can be good. So I think it was last week that we talked about what desire truly means, right? That all desire, normally when we hear about pleasure and desire, we automatically go to this sexual place, and that's not true, obviously, right? Like, we desire to eat good food, wear good clothes, we desire to be, with people that we love, that makes us happy, and all those different things. So desire has many manifestations, and one of those is sexual desire. So how can sexual desire be life-giving and pure? So what she was saying, which I alluded to yesterday, was true intimacy comes from, which is what sexuality really is the desire to be known, to be seen, to be counted as significant, to be valued. And we, as women, I can't speak for men, but I'm sure they share this as well, that we enter into relationships and situationships because we want that feeling, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we sometimes prematurely enter into a sexual encounter with someone because we think it's going to fast track them valuing us, seeing us, loving us, appreciating us. We think that when they have sex with us, that's them saying that I know you and I see you, and that's not the truth. Your desire for that is pure. Now, where we can get messed up, especially when it comes to sexuality, is that our desire for sexual pleasure can short circuit our ability to make logical decisions, okay? And so because it's a very powerful drive that every human has, including women. For whatever reason, there's still in society this idea that women don't desire after physical sexual pleasure, which is not true, okay? Women desire sexual pleasure just as people don't think it's just as much, but in a different way than men do, but they still have that desire. And so you wanting that physical sexual touch and wanting to be in a sexual encounter with someone is part of your desire as a woman. Like, we all have it, okay? You wanting to be known and seen and counted as significant and beautiful by another person is very natural, okay? God gave us this body, and he didn't want us to the rest of our lives trying to be closer to him, rejecting the fact that we're in a body that has feelings. So we feed ourselves when we're hungry. We drink water when we're thirsty, right? It's the understanding the difference between I have a need because I'm hungry, and she talked about this in the book, like, I'm hungry, I could go and eat a kale salad, but what I really want is a double cheeseburger. Okay? Like, I have a need and I have a drive. My decision about how I feel that is where my morality and my sense of spiritual awareness and decision making comes into play. So your body has desires. You have sexual desire. You have the desire to eat, drink, sleep, be held, whatever the case may be, okay? So you have those desires. It's how you feel it, and with who you feel it, where the issue comes in, which is what we talked about yesterday, right? But something really interesting that she said was that, and I love this, that our desire and our sexual experiences is actually us looking to experience more grace. Like, it's a grace pursuit for us to have that. And let me see if I can find it here. Let me see. Okay, so she says here, I can still hear my jazz music. Sexual pleasure and sexual desire are about more than the sensations brought to you by the nervous system and the sensory responses that accompany blood flow to various regions of one's body. The experience of good sex and the delightful things that lead up to it is one of risking, showing, and sharing oneself with one another, of giving and receiving care and attention, of connection and delight. It tends to require a partner, an enthusiastic, sensitive one as well. So she says here, and she goes into the book of the Song of Solomon, which most of the time Christians are like, oh, they're two married people, but they weren't married. Talking about them desiring each other. And some people say it's always about the love of God in Israel. Depending on where you are in your life, when you read the scripture, it's going to read itself according to where you are in life, okay? So I'm not hung up about if it was God in Israel or whatever, but clearly from the text itself, the man and the woman were not married, okay? Because she's talking about how, like, she was sleeping and he came knocking and she could feel herself wanting him to come. And she was like, I already took a shower, like, I'm laid in bed. But then her desire for him, okay, wanted her to go and open that door, okay? So she talks about that. And I'm trying to find here where she talks about the grace. Okay, this is it here. She said, some Christians like to claim, and I told you guys already that she's not coming from a place of where she necessarily believes that non-marital sex is wrong. Some Christians like to claim that all sexual, before I continue, for all those who are watching, they're like, are you in agreement with her, Yema? My job as a coach, when I come and have these conversations, we're going to have a good time. My job as a coach is to give you information to help you make educated decisions about yourself, about your life and yourself and your body and your relationships. So in order for me to do that, I have to provide you with different conversations that are being had in people who have opposing views, so that you can have the information to make decisions for yourself and for your life. And if you're struggling because you find yourself caught in between the two, then you call me, okay? You call me and we walk through it together, okay? That's what I can coach you in trying to figure out for yourself. So, and obviously I have my own opinions, but I'm gonna provide what I've learned, what I'm hearing. I'm gonna say it to you and we talk through it to figure out, like, where are you at with that. And I'll share, the beautiful thing about life is that we're all in the process of growth. I cannot, and this is a quick coaching moment, I'm not going to not grow and not question my beliefs and not question my convictions because I want to be like the same person, like consistent. Like the thing about growth is that you're changing. Although, like, it's possible, right? And this is why questioning is good. It's a good thing to question the things that you've automatically believed growing up as a child. You may come back to those same convictions, but now you have a strong foundation. You have an understanding of why you believe the things that you believe. taking something in very very blindly, which I think that this is the reason why people in the world thank you for the hearts and the likes. This is the reason why people in the world think that Christians are like blind and dumb and just following the masses, like all this, like what do they call it? It's not the blindness of the masses, but they just feel like we're being like put to bed by religion, like where our mind is going to sleep. I can't think of the word right now because I know the term that they use, but that we just blindly follow our religion. That may be true for some people, but that is not God. Okay, that's not Jesus Christ. Like, he came and he had conversation with people. In the Old Testament, the Lord said, sit down and let's reason together. Ask of me, ask me questions. That Matthew 7:7, ask and you shall receive, and knock on the door shall be open to you. That's not talking about you getting a car, getting a house, getting fed. Ask God, why are you saying this? Why is premarital sex, non-marital sex wrong? Why is that? So for me to speak on the topic that I'm speaking on right now is because I asked God those questions. The way I was able to write this book is because I asked God questions. Why is this wrong? Why can I go and do all these different things? Okay. And what you're going to find, and if you're not there yet, that's cool. They're not restrictions that God put around us. He gave us a plan, okay, a way of doing things to make sure that we get the utmost pleasure and ecstasy and joy and fulfillment from those things. When Jesus said that he came in John 10:10 for you to have abundant life, he legit meant that, okay? So whatever he's telling you to do is not to hurt you, okay? He's not telling you things, hey, Lindsay, he's not telling you anything to hurt you. What he's telling you is to make sure that you get the biggest enjoyment and fun out of the gifts that he's given you, and that includes sexuality. So me presenting to you what this lady, Bromley McClanahan, is saying, who doesn't necessarily believe that premarital or non-marital sex is wrong, is for you, hopefully, to take back into your conversation with God, like, Lord, how can she call herself a Christian and not think this is wrong? How can she do that? Ask her. Ask God, okay? So this is what she's saying. I had to put that little qualification there because I know how social media rolls. Okay, so she says some Christians like to claim that all sexual intimacy outside of marriage will necessarily feel cheap and damaging, but many of us know that that's simply not true. Because she had an experience where she had the desire to be physically intimate with someone before the encounter, during the encounter, and after the encounter. She didn't feel cheap afterwards. Now, she grew up in a different house where her parents were Christian. I think they were pastors, and they are pastors, I believe. And they never had the conversation with her about, like, don't lose your virginity, or like, this is wrong. None of that. She was able to wait through high school because she realized that the decision was hers to make, and she felt empowered in it, and she knew she felt it was safe for her, and that's how she made that decision, not because somebody else on the outside of her was telling her to. So she said, this is the grace of God that she's talking about in this. So the grace of being seen and known, of holy attentiveness to a partner, is possible, I'd argue, in any just and loving action toward another person. And it's part of what makes sexual encounters, or good ones anyway, so pleasurable. Okay? So she's saying the desire to be seen and known, the desire that's met, is actually a grace of us knowing God. And she's equating the grace, because the grace of being accepted, the grace of being known, like that is part of the grace of God in those sexual encounters. And we talked about sexual intimacy is not only vaginal intercourse, right? So we listed all of them yesterday. So vaginal, anal, oral, mutual masturbation, scissoring. I'm sure I'm missing some of them. So all of those are kissing, okay, fondling, heavy petting. all of that is part of sexual intimacy. And so she's saying all sexual intimacy out of marriage isn't necessarily going to feel cheap or damaging. Okay? Now, I know there's the group of people that are like, I'm not going to kiss anyone until I get married. I used to be one of those people, and I'm not sure if I'm not anymore. I think still, I know for me what awakens my passion, and I have a extremely high sex drive. And I know if I don't want to engage in sexual vaginal intimacy with someone, I don't need to be kissing anybody. Like, if you're gonna be my husband, we about to do this thing for real, and this is my personal feelings about it. If I'm going to marry you, I don't know that I really would want to be engaging in anything that's going to awaken my passion, because I know I'm not going to be able to stop. I know me, okay? And I was very strong about that before. Now, if someone comes into my life and it happens, I'm not going to be like, oh, now we can't get married because we ruined everything. Like, I'm not going to do that. But in my mind, I know what awakens my passion. So if I want to keep it all together for my wedding and my wedding night and my marriage, I know for me, like, you have to know yourself. I know for me, kissing you and whatever else happening is just not going to be a good situation. If we together, this is what's important. If you're together with a partner that you're dating onto marriage, like you guys know that you want to be together or whatever, however you met, all relationships are so different. However you met and you are in love with Jesus and you both fully are convicted, obviously she's not, and she's married with 3 kids, so something's working for her. All right. So if you and your friend, your partner, your situationship friend make a decision, and this can happen anytime in the relationship. You can have met and y'all been getting down and you're like, you know what, we're going to commit ourselves to God. We're not going to do this. If you make that commitment with each other and you're both convicted, it cannot be one person convicted. I have tried that before. I was the only one convicted to that, and it did not work. Maybe it worked for like a week. Okay? Was not a cool situation to continue having that conversation with someone who wasn't as convicted as me about the situation, about me wanting to wait till marriage for vaginal sexual intimacy. Okay? So if you know yourself and you made that commitment, and you know that if you start kissing and he kissed right here, and everything else is a done deal after that, because it is very difficult. So once you start feeling that physical desire to get up and leave a situation with someone who you have heart feelings for, who you love, it's very difficult. So if you are in that place, okay, like Joseph did and dropped his coat and ran up out of there, okay? If you know yourself, don't do it. Don't put yourself in a situation after you've made this commitment because you've been convicted about something with you and God. Don't put yourself in a situation don't set yourself up for failure. Okay? So especially if you guys have already engaged in vaginal intercourse and you're like, we're making a new decision, don't do it to yourself. Just don't do it. So that's a quick PSA. I know for me, I won't be doing that. So the other thing here that I wanted to read for you guys is this. I just think her perspective is so interesting. That she's saying that kissing or teenage making out or sex would be consider grace to be a powerful force of transformation of individuals, society, and the world. Like, engaging in that behavior is a channel of grace and ways through which we experience God's love and life. And she said here, so never let it be said that taking communion will save you or that kissing your girlfriend will teach you something of God you cannot learn otherwise. It's not the means itself that makes a difference, right? Like consuming bread, drinking the grape juice, even lightly prayed over grape juice, is not going to magically or suddenly change your life. But it can be a way of you experiencing the presence and love of God, without which the love of God waxes cold. So that's so interesting. So she says, visiting people in prison, caring for the poor, singing and worshiping in community, sharing a common meal, all of these can help us and help others to experience the transformative power of being seen, desired by God as significant and wanted. So too can sexual interaction be a way of experiencing grace. That's a very different point of view that I think it's worthy of us at least acknowledging. I love it for the reason that it's just so countercultural, even for me who studies sexuality and teaches it and coaches about it. I think like there is something to be said, because her point is that the Bible doesn't talk about every sexual situation and what you should do with it. But her point is that there's really nothing wrong with it, because it has to be good. It has to be healthy for you. You shouldn't be engaging in sexual activity from a place of hurt, abuse, desperate need. Like, that's never going to be a good situation for you. But that it can be a way of experiencing the grace of God, because another person is seeing you. Another person is desiring you, just like how God sees and desires us. It is a avenue for us on earth in this 3D dimension, okay, to experience what it's like for God to fully accept us. And we talked about that yesterday. That true intimacy that we're all desiring after is for you to see me, okay, my physical self, with my scars, my parts of my body that I don't necessarily appreciate, that I'm still in a process of loving, to see my personality, the parts of me that I don't like, the parts of me that I'm working on, the parts of me that I love about me, to see the full aspect, the full spectrum of who I am as a person, and you accepting that and desiring it and wanting it makes me know and feel accepted, makes me feel significant, makes me feel valued, okay? And the reason why that desire has been demonized, especially for women, is because of Sister Eve. Now, not Eve that got the, not the rapper Eve, but Eve from the garden, because she went after something that she desired, and her desire got her into a place of where she messed us all up. But I'm not even really sure she messed us up, because God planned to slay, like the lamb was slain before the foundation of the earth. So I don't know how that all works into place. If it wasn't Eve, Yama would have did it, or Shaquanda, or Susie, or Becky definitely would have did it. Okay, Becky with the good hair, she definitely would have did it. Okay, if it wasn't Eve, it would have been Becky with the good hair. Okay, that's a joke. But somebody would have done it, and if it wasn't Eve, if it wasn't a woman, okay, Tyrone would have did it. Okay, somebody would have done it. Lil Wayne definitely would have done it. All right. So somebody would have ate that apple or whatever fruit that was that they ate. But it's this sense that if we go after our desire, it's going to end up in some kind of hurt and some kind of shame. And in our own personal lives, we can see how that has been true. Like, I have gone after a guy or a girl out of some weird situation going on inside of me, and it ended up hurting me in the long run. Okay, we can see how that's happening. But okay, separate yourself from that. You were desiring to be seen. You were desiring to be known. God's given us ways in the earth for us to experience that with other people. That's the knowing. That's the thing with spirituality and sexuality, that we are desiring to be known, to have passion. And you can have that with a friend. You could be known and fully understood by a friend. You could be known and fully understood by a parent, okay? You can have that relationship with someone who you're not in a sexual, romantic relationship with. But it comes to its culmination and the fullness of it with someone who you are in a committed, long-term relationship with, that says, for life. For life, I choose you. For life, every single day. I'm not going to like you maybe every day, but I choose to love the person you are now, and I am signing up. Hi there, Mars. I am signing up that whoever you become as we grow together, I'm choosing to love that person now. So by faith, I'm entering into a long-term committed relationship with you, knowing, I don't think most people do know that. That's why we're all end up in divorce. 50% of people, 1 in 2 marriages end up in divorce, okay, in America. So we must not know that. But for someone who's gotten to know themselves, who's done the, educated themselves on marriage or long-term committed relationships and all of that, I'm working with my understanding of marriage and this contract and the history of it and the legalities of why we have to sign a contract. Like, they were not signing contracts back in the Bible days. I mean, in many ways, the marriage itself was a contract. Like, you gave your word, and your word was your bond. And so I guess maybe that's why it's moved into the signing of the contract thing. But I'm still looking into that as I've been doing my study. Like, is it really necessary? Because Isaac and Rebecca were married from the sight of each other, and that was it. They got into the tent, did what they had to do, and that was that. Like, it wasn't a ceremony that said that I was married to someone. And interestingly enough, in the state of Colorado, you and one person can sit down and be like, I do, we're married. And the state recognizes that as an actual marriage, which I think is really, really powerful and really good, that there doesn't have to be this ceremony around it. I'm totally digressing. But it's been a thought of mine as I've been navigating a relationship currently and thinking about what it means, what it would mean for me. Like, do I need to have a ceremony, or do I need to get a paper signed before God to say that I'm married to someone? I'm working through that and thinking through and challenging my thoughts that I just kind of took on and never questioned it. Like, I'm not married until I sign a paper. I'm not married until I have this ceremony. But can two people, and this might be I believe the Muslim people definitely in Philadelphia do this. But just looking at the history of all of it, it's interesting where the marital contract, the legalities of it, that is a government thing, where that comes from. Just like how it's very interesting to look back to why we have public schools, okay? All of that was, hi James, all of that was initiated so that we could have more employees, okay? So if I'm dedicating myself to the education system, thinking that's my only way out, and I don't know that it was created to create employees, I need to know where we're coming from so I can know how much stock I need to put in what your promises are. Does that make sense? So this is the same way that I am now currently questioning, like, why do we do that? Like, why? Not so much for the government. I'm so sidetracked now. No, James, if you would like to participate in the conversation, you're more than welcome. If you will not, please quietly exit. Thank you for joining. If we, like, before my relationship with God and my relationships before him, what does commitment look like to another person just between me, that person, and God? And I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it talked about having to sign a contract or whatever when it comes to marriage. That's just a thought. out there. I'm that person, okay? I'm a learner, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, and so I have questions all the time. As I ask myself questions, I'm going to share that with you guys because I'm with you every weekday. So you're going to see me in my process. You're going to see as I go through things because I want you to understand that you're not alone in your process of becoming. Like if you go on my personal page, I wrote that, I don't know how many years ago, but I haven't changed it. It says in the process of becoming. We are all in the process of becoming. And it's okay for you to have questions. It's okay for you to read opinions or hear from people that you don't agree with. I know in this social climate that we're in right now, the political climate, it's very difficult for us to listen to people who don't agree with us. But it's absolutely necessary if you want to strengthen your mental capacities, increase your intelligence. You have to be comfortable with questioning your own convictions, questioning the things that you've been believing for your entire life. A simple why doesn't mean you're not going to believe them anymore, but building a foundation of why you believe them, why it's necessary, why you have to align your life with whatever maybe popular society is saying. I'm questioning the whole marriage legal aspect of it, the signing of the contract and all of that, because in my current life right now, I mean, I'm navigating a relationship where it's just like, when before God does this become something that I say that I am fully committed to? Like, do I need to go to the courthouse first to do that? And part of it also comes from me watching a lot of Bridezilla. Because they're like, we're not married. You haven't signed. That's it. We're never going to be married because you haven't signed the contract. Like, what? When he says, will you marry me? And you say yes, is that the point of when you're married? Because it would seem to me that would be it. For today, on July 24, 2019, in this moment, it's coming to an end at 10:54 p.m. my time. That seems like that would be the point of where the commitment starts. It probably started way before that, but in that moment where you guys agree, like we're together. I don't know. I'm gonna think through that and come back to you guys. But thank you so much, my beautiful lovelies, for watching this. If you have not picked up your beautiful copy of my book called Good Sex for Single Women to help you through your supernatural sexual wholeness, freedom, liberation, please do so. And for my mamas who have teen daughters and you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to be able to communicate all of this to her and make sure that she makes the right decisions? How can I do that? I am here to help you, okay? You slide in my DMs or click on the link in my description box and set up a free call with me. 50 minutes, I'll sit down, we'll put together a plan just for you and your daughter, because every mother-daughter relationship, mother-teen daughter especially, relationship is completely different. What, Audrey? Every mother and teen daughter relationship is very different. So I am here to walk you through and guide you and help you build a plan and coach you through that plan to make sure that you're successful and you set her up to be a successful adult as well, okay? And heal the relationship. There may be mistrust and miscommunication going on there as well. So you need tools, and I have those tools to help you out, okay? So make sure you slide in my DMs or hit on the thing and give me a call. I guess you got to be careful with your words, huh? Yes, you do have to be careful with your words, ma'am. All right, thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful, beautiful night. Thank you for joining me. Bye.